The solitary campfire crackled and spit, casting a flickering glow across Deadshot's pensive face. He sat honing the edge of his Bowie knife, lost in thought. Just days ago, this deal with Blackjack Mallory would have been unthinkable. But the lure of the gold had blurred the lines. Deadshot pictured the tense standoff in the moonlit barn, Mallory's gang surrounding him with pistols drawn. He'd gambled everything on the promise of splitting the fortune, and Mallory had taken the bait. But now doubt plagued him. He eyed Mallory's sleeping form across the fire. It would be so easy to slit the outlaw's throat and track the gold himself. But he needed Mallory's knowledge of its location. Cursing under his breath, Deadshot sheathed the sharpened blade. At a pristine lakeside, Deadshot filled his canteen while Mallory fished nearby. His hand drifted to the smooth walnut grip of his holstered Colt .45. Just one quick draw and he could end this unholy alliance, collect the bounty and be done with it. But once again, Deadshot stayed his hand. Like it or not, he needed Mallory. He unfolded the faded wanted poster, Mallory's roguish visage staring back at him. The substantial reward amount loomed beneath in bold type that seemed to dance in the firelight. What mattered more, profit or principles? The question gnawed at Deadshot's conscience. Sensing the tension, Mallory approached the fire. Getting that gold could be your ticket to an honest life, Deadshot, he reasoned. No more living by your gun, respectable ranch, family too, if that's your desire. This treasure hunt ain't got to blacken your soul any. Deadshot flashed back to finding his homesteader father murdered by raiders when he was just a boy. He had sworn vengeance against all outlaws that day. I reckon you're no different from them, Mallory, he growled. You can dress it up all you want, but you're a killer same as me. At a remote trading post, Deadshot stocked up on supplies. The elderly shopkeeper clutched his arm, imploring him to turn Mallory over to the law. Shame flooded Deadshot, but the gold called stronger. He recalled the words of his mentor, wasting away in a TB ward after years of bounty hunting. Money ain't worth sacrificing your ethics, son. It'll rob your peace, twist you, if you let it. How he wished he'd heeded that wisdom sooner. At sunset, Deadshot leaned on a split rail fence, staring longingly toward the town jailhouse where he could wash his hands of this mess if only he found the courage. He withdrew his weathered Peacemaker revolver, reflecting on the notches, each representing a life taken just for blood money. Was this gold really worth further compromising his code? That night, Deadshot stood over Mallory's sleeping form, sharpened Bowie poised. One quick slash would end this unholy allegiance. But try as he might, he could not pull the trigger. Around the campfire, Mallory gave him one last chance to collect the bounty and walk away. But greed won out once more. With a reluctant handshake amidst the sparks rising to the vast prairie sky, Deadshot sealed his fate. Exiting the trading post, Deadshot avoided the shopkeeper's gaze. He burned with shame, but the promise of the gold proved too powerful to resist. Catching his reflection in a looking glass, Deadshot scarcely recognized himself. He slammed his fist down in anger at compromising his principles. But it was too late for regrets. Digging his spurs into his stallion, Deadshot galloped hard, desperate to outrun the doubts plaguing his conscience. But deep down, he knew this deal had shaken his moral compass. Cresting a rise overlooking his long-abandoned homestead, Deadshot hesitated, longing for the simple, honest life he had turned his back on. But he spurred his horse onward, denying the goodness calling him back. At a gurgling stream, Deadshot's weathered hand dipped below the crystal water, retracting with a palmful of glittering nuggets. He let them slide through his fingers like liquid moonlight, utterly seduced. His fate was sealed. At high noon, Deadshot strode alone through a shadowy gulch, gold fever raging inside, overwhelming the last pangs of conscience. The inner debate was over. That night by the fire, as Mallory enthusiastically traced routes on tattered maps, Deadshot forced himself to quash any lingering doubts. He had sacrificed his principles for this treasure and was committed to the quest now for good or ill. Catching his reflection in a polished sword, Deadshot no longer recognized the grim visage staring back. He had sacrificed the best parts of himself, but it was too late for regret. He was a changed man on a dangerous road. Spurring their mounts forward, Deadshot and Mallory rode forth into the parched badlands past the cracked skulls of cattle lining the path, ominous signs of the uncertain fortunes that lay ahead. As his lonely cabin faded into the distance, Deadshot left behind any semblance of the honest life he once knew. The siren song of forbidden riches had consumed him fully. He did not look back.